ABAJO somos expertos en contabilidad, planillas y estrategias para que tu negocio crezca con orden y resultados. Estamos listos para ayudarte y orientarte a invertir tus números en progreso y que duermas tranquilo. Llámanos hoy al 787-929-9216, 929-9216 y descubre cómo transformar tus finanzas con propósito. Síguenos en Facebook como ABAJO Accounting and Business Solutions, donde tus números cuentan y tu éxito comienza.
A veces, el cuidado que necesitas comienza con un pequeño detalle.
Como dedicar tiempo para ti. En Gel Nails by Sujeira, cada servicio de manos y pies es más que belleza. Es un momento de descanso, cuidado y renovación con atención personalizada y un ambiente pensando para que te sientas especial. Llama al 787-367-3838 o búscanos en Instagram como Gel Nails by Sujeira. Gel Nails by Sujeira, formando manos con propósito.
WCRP FM Guayama, Caguas, San Juan, 88.1 Inspira.
Vive la mañana.
Lunes a viernes de 6 a 10 y todas las tardes, dímelo, con Liz y Joelo, de 1 a 5.
Pero no Jesús. Sangre divina que el camino abrió.
Esta radioemisora es patrocinada por Magic Transmission, especialista en la reconstrucción de transmisión de vehículos. Trabajos garantizados. 25 años de experiencia. Visítenos en la 10505 Cleveland Road, Garner, North Carolina, 27529. Llámanos al 984-242-4989. Estimados gratis. En asuntos de transmisión, Magic Transmission es la solución. Llámanos al 984-242-4989. Y recuerde que como Magic Transmission no hay dos. Si se lesionó en un accidente, llame al abogado Bello para una consulta gratis. Tiene derecho a compensación por sus daños, ingresos perdidos, dolor y sufrimiento. Cobramos solo si ganamos su caso. Llame al 919-884-0031. 919-884-0031. El abogado Bello es hispano y habla su idioma. El abogado Bello te ayuda con ello.
Atraviesa el tráfico de autos con el mejor playlist.
The drive home sounds better.
Que el camino suena mejor con la Celestial 106.5.
No le cambie, porque a continuación comenzará un programa que bendecirá tu vida. Aquí en la Celestial FM 106.5. El siguiente programa es clasificación A, apto para todo público. Contenido E, entretenimiento.
Toda palabra o punto doctrinal emitido en el siguiente programa es responsabilidad exclusiva del programador y no de esta radioestación.
Bienvenidos a Café con Hispanos, un programa que conecta nuestra fe, nuestros valores como familia, nuestros negocios y proyectos de ley que afectan a nuestra comunidad hispana aquí en Carolina del Norte. Entrevistamos al gobierno y a líderes de nuestra comunidad para dialogar sobre el trabajo que realizan en beneficio nuestro, actualidad y un sabor a dulce hogar. Somos la voz de nuestra gente hispana. Le damos la bienvenida al pastor Gilbert Pagan. Café con Hispanos comienza.
de mí si no me hubieras alcanzado? ¿Dónde estaría hoy si no me hubieras perdonado? Tendría un vacío en mi corazón, vagaría sin rumbo, sin dirección. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, sería como un pájaro herido que se muere en el suelo. Sería como un ciervo que brama por agua en un desierto. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, ¿qué sería de mí si no me hubieras alcanzado? ¿Dónde estaría hoy si no me hubieras perdonado? Tendría un vacío en mi corazón, vagaría sin rumbo, sin dirección. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, sería como un pájaro herido que se muere del suelo. Sería como un ciervo que brama por agua en un desierto. Si no fuera por.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Hispanics. We are in the studio in Raleigh, and we're going to be talking today with Mary Insprucker, who's a candidate for North Carolina House District 36. And her website is maryforcarolina.com. And there's a lot of House races happening and Senate races happening in 2026. It's an election year for local stuff in the state. And Mary is running for House District 36. And Mary, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, and thanks to everybody out there listening.
And I'm glad you could be with us here. We're in the studio here in Raleigh, and we're chatting with Mary about her background, a little bit of the why, of why you're running. Now, your seat covers Cary, right? You're not in Apex or anything. Is it Cary for the most part?
No, actually, I have Cary, Apex, Holly Springs, and Fuquay.
So you got quite a number of areas that you cover with this seat, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, great. So that's great. Thank you for clarifying. So help us to understand your why and why you're running in this election cycle.
Okay. So, first I'll start with the cliche that everybody does, which is, I've always given back. I've always been involved in community. I serve on the board of American Red Cross. I was the media relations manager for Special Olympics World Games, overseeing 150 countries. And, just so many organizations like that. So this seemed kind of a good next step to get involved on this level. But again, almost every person running will tell you that. To that, my bigger reason was what's going on in the world today, right? There's so much that we need to be done, and I'm sure we'll cover it in different topics. But, people are hurting these days, and I saw a need to try and fix that in many different ways. And I won't go too far because I'm sure you'll cover everything, Gil.
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate you you running, because I tell people when they don't like what they see happening, let's say in the local government, local councils, local cities or states, or they don't like what's happening with policy and politics, I said, you can do a couple of things. I said, you could write letters, send emails, make phone calls. You could show up at your legislator's office and complain and protest with signs, or you can go the highest level and put your name on the ballot and run for office. So you kind of went to the top of the ticket here and decided to run, right? Not that you didn't do other stuff, but the highest calling, right, is when it comes to getting involved in civics, right, and public policy is to run for office. So you kind of went right to the top of the list there to run. So that's good, and thank you for putting your name on the ballot. It's a big deal. It's a lot of work. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. We know that that people are hurting, as you say, and affordability is a major problem right about now, right? Everything's expensive, and obviously you're running to represent a district in Wake County, a couple of cities, as you mentioned, Cary, Apex, Holly, piece of Fuquay, right? Okay, so right, so you're running to obviously represent the people of those areas, but obviously you're representing the state of North Carolina and being in the House. I mean, you're there to fight for everybody, right? So tell us a little bit about the affordability issue and what do you see and what are people telling you and tell us what's on your heart.
Okay. Well, you know what, and it is about my heart, so I appreciate that. And I also appreciate you saying this is a state office, because a lot of people will say, oh, well, I'm not in your district, so it doesn't matter. It does matter, because just because you're not in my boundaries, you are in my district. If you live in North Carolina, you are in my district. And that's kind of what I've gone out and I've knocked on doors and I talked to a lot of people about what's the heart of what's going on the everyday. So to that point, you know, everybody's concerned about all the worldly things, all the big things out there. But when I talk to people, most of the time, they're about the everyday. That, you know, I call it table to tank. Food on the table, gas in the tank. You know, they're just struggling to survive. And so I wanted to take some action to, for once, let's consider helping people pay their bills instead of always trying to help counties and cities and so forth pay their expenses. And, you know, I'm also a lot about, you know, there's ways we can do this. And, you know, because again, people will say, well, that sounds pretty, but how are you going to do it?
Right.
So there's different ways. I'll give you a couple examples, starting with the lottery. Okay, so a lot of tax goes to education. A big chunk goes to education. And so if we want to reduce taxes, one of the ways we can do that is perhaps look at the lottery. And I'll tell you why. When the lottery was first established, we were getting 35% of what came in on that, which is already like, I don't even get it. You know, it was the education lottery, so why weren't we getting more to start? But now we're down to 16%, Gil. And so I want to work with the auditor on how can we fix that? You know, what's adding up there and not adding up there?
When you say 35%, we used to get, meaning the state from that money coming in used to get 35% to use for the budget. Now we're only getting 16. Is that what you're saying?
For education.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So the 35%. So we should get that all that money that comes in for the lotteries that I don't gamble. Somebody goes in, they go to the gas station, they buy a lottery ticket, pick 6, pick 4, whatever they do. They buy the scratch offs, all that stuff. So that money goes into somewhere. Right? It goes. I don't know where it goes, but it goes somewhere. Maybe you know. So it goes somewhere. That money, let's say for sake of this discussion, it's $500 million. Just to give you a number. I don't know what the number is. $500 million, an example. That 35% used to go to education. Now it's 16%.
Exactly right.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I want to make sure I understood. All right, go ahead.
So, you know, again, what can we do? We can look at that, because if we can get more of those monies, we don't have to put so much taxes toward education, and we're solving part of the tax problem, right? I'm all about no fat, no fraud, no failure. There's so much fat that we got to get rid of. There's so much fraud. And, you know, let's just take Medicare, for example. There was $1 trillion in fraud. And so, you know, that's something we have to be aware of.
Medicare is a federal program, right? Okay. And it's an example of a lot of money we're losing a lot of money through fraud as a federal example.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
I'm just trying to point out, you know,
I got
not
you.
to say that we're going to attack that, but you know, there's fat in North Carolina.
Oh, of course.
Not just in the U.S.
In the Medicaid program too. There's fat everywhere.
And then I like to look for things like the educational choice for children. This was where the federal, again, was going to give North Carolinians $1,700 tax credit if they donated to certain nonprofits that provide scholarships for students. That had a hard time getting through, and it shouldn't have, because there again, affordability. Duke Energy. I know this is something you could probably talk about more than I, but I'm just trying to show all the different steps together. We watch Duke Energy. We got to watch this 18% hike that they want in rates. Not a fan, especially when Duke Energy is making almost $5 billion in profits in 2025. What else? Drug costs. The Script Act, where insurance companies cannot steer patients only to their pharmacies because they could go to a cheaper pharmacy. Okay, and that helps with affordability. Even something as simple, and this is very simple, but when I talk to people, every dime matters. And so, we're getting rid of this emission test. Well, that's $30, okay? And that seems like, well, that's not going to solve anything. But for somebody on a fixed income, it helps.
Well, I'll tell you something. Just not somewhat relevant. I have an antique car. So, although I was exempt from emissions because it was already old, all right, it's already more than 20 years old, so I was already exempt from emissions. Now, since it's more than 30 years old, I'm exempt from safety. Now I'm making sure my car is safe, but that's basically money back in my pocket, right? And it gives me, it's back to me as a responsible car owner to maintain my car. This is, I'll throw this out to you. I don't know if you necessarily know this, so you could put this in your cap when you win the election. Is that when you get a custom plate, license plate from DMV, they charge you. Let's say, I think it's like $80. I don't remember what the number is. I don't have it anymore, but I used to. $80 registration fee plus your normal registration on top of the fees, whatever you pay. You pay that when you get the plate. When you go to renew, they charge you again for a custom plate because you already had the plate. They're charging you the same fee every single year. Versus the first time they charge you, okay, fine. So please fix that. All right, go ahead.
Yes, and I'm glad you bring up fees because those are the hidden taxes.
That's right.
People think, oh, this is for my water or my sewer. No, it's just one more form of tax.
And where does the money go? When you look at, so now people who are listening, when you look at your registration bill that comes into your house and you get the mail, or it's emailed to you, some of them are going to get an email now, you'll see all the fees. You'll see the registration for your car. You'll see Wake County fee. You'll see carry vehicle fee. And I'm like, I want to know where all that money's going and for what. I don't know where it's going, but maybe you could figure it out. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, just one last thing maybe about when we're talking about affordability, little things count, and little things are big things. So, this $5,000 exemption on tips, the back-to-school sales tax, the holiday, everything adds up. And what I would like to do once elected, and I'm hoping this won't happen, but if you remember, Gil, after COVID or during COVID, prices went up, right? And, I'm not going to address the right or wrong or that. There was all kinds of issues with COVID, and so deservedly so. But why didn't they come down after, right? So what I want to keep, I want to keep an eye on when I'm elected is, okay, we have the war now, right? And prices are up. So when all the dust settles, let's, watch price gouging for that. Let's watch, do those prices come back down?
That's a very good point. And now when you issued you talked about the emission thing triggering my head with the cars. I'm a car guy. So it's interesting that the governor of the state, I believe, has the authority to suspend the gas tax. Here we are paying, $3.50 a gallon now, $3.56, $3.58 a gallon for regular gas. It's kind of in that range, a little bit below $4 generally, depending where you are, but $3.75, $3.58, $3.60. And I believe the gas tax is something like 40 cents a gallon. Again, I'm going on memory here. I could be wrong. That the governor has the ability to suspend the gas tax to bring it down to $3.20. Let's say if it's $3.60 a gallon, 40 cents, that's $3.20. And suspend it until the war and all our gases, but no one is thinking about the little guy. No one's thinking about the people got to, as you say, from table to tank, right?
Right.
Thinking about the gas tank, and no one's thinking about that. I really love the legislature and the members of the House and the Senate to somehow, be able to push the governor. Somehow, I don't know. I haven't looked at the logistics of it. The how they can do that. I think that he has to approve it. And then you got to do a veto. Well, I don't know if veto override. I have no idea, but just something I'm sharing with the people. You may want to call your legislators and call the governor and say, please.
Show mercy.
Yeah. Take off that 40 cents for at least for the summer until September, until things kind of shake out with the war. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I know those thoughts are circling around, and we'll see what happens with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about affordability, obviously, there's a lot of things that are going on here, and it's affecting our daily pocket, as you say, from table to tank, and looking at government programs and money and where's it going. No fraud, no fat, no failure. Right. Right. So looking at all those kind of things. Talk to us a little bit about taxes, right? And what can you do, and what can the legislature do a little bit around taxes for us, right? And how that can bring some relief on a regular basis every month, right? So that we can put food on our tables, gas in our car, and go out to eat every once in a while, right? So and with our family.
At least fast food, right?
Yeah, right. Somewhere. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is major with the folks I talk to. Again, it's getting bad. It's getting where people are coming to me saying, I'm in fear of losing my home because I can't afford my taxes. This is people's, this is their number one investment, their life's work, and they might lose it because of tax increases. The other thing about it is a lot. It's just getting ridiculous. It's almost like your tax bill is matching your mortgage bill. I mean, it is getting up there for people. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of tax reduction and reform. I went to every House Select Committee meeting on it from December to like April. So even though I'm not in the House yet, I've been attending that because I think it's important to see what I want to support and also what I can offer to the people. So there's going to be a lot of things coming up on that. And I first want to say, because I also get the other side of that coin, where people will say, oh, well, if you're for tax, if you're not for taxes, then you must not be for police and firemen and that kind of, education. And it's not that going to be further from the truth. I'm a big supporter of that. And
so you support, obviously, education, support our first responders, police, all that, right?
Exactly. And I just, I don't believe in using fear as a motivator, and I think that's what people are doing. Again, this is going to be about fiscal responsibility. So for example, we're going to have 2 constitutional amendments coming up on the ballot in November. And one of them is going to address tax levies. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about how all that works, but basically, again, when we look at the towns and the counties and what their budgets look like, they're going to have a limit on how much they can tax, and they have to work their budget within that. So again, people, freak out because they think, oh no, everything's, we're going to lose everything. But it's keeping them within that perimeter. And the thing I like about this constitutional amendment is 2 things. One, the people vote on it.
That's right.
So if you don't want tax, if you want tax increases, vote no on it, right? So people's choice, which I am for the people, and that speaks to me that this is something that the people will be involved in. The other part of this is, should that constitutional amendment be passed by the voters, there's an opportunity to to walk it back. So if your town says, okay, we're under these limits, but we really want to build this park or build this entertainment center or whatever it might be, the people still have a voice to say, okay, we'll pass a one-time tax, more or less.
Right, in the local county.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And get that job done.
That's
so,
right.
it just stays in the hands of the people. The other constitutional amendment is bringing the state income tax from 7% to 3.5%.
That's nice.
It's nice, and again, it's up to the people.
Sure. No, that's great. Yeah, I know that. There's concerns about cutting the tax rates and things of that nature, and funding local services and the like, and some of the pushback that kind of you're alluding to, that if you don't support it, therefore you don't support police, education, which is not the truth. Not the truth. I think that what people tend to forget, in general, and I'm more of the advocating for give people access to their money and put more money in the people's pocket.
Yes.
Let them control their budget, right?
Yes.
Let them do it. That's just my philosophy. But I think that the theory of pushing back that you don't support A, B, and C because you want less taxes, I think what they're forgetting is that before you come to the people to ask for more money, you should be looking at FAT, you should be looking at fraud, you should be looking at failure, looking at duplication of services, looking at consolidation, right?
Exactly.
So look at where you can bring up, let's say you can identify $150 million in savings. Now, instead of taxes going up by 3%, now, all right, it's going to be 1.5. We found $150 million somewhere else. As an example, right?
Exactly.
But I don't hear that conversation.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Make sure I'm not missing something here. Okay.
No, and
Yeah.
to that exact point, and I'm going to kind of read this so I
Yeah,
can make
sure.
sure it's right. Another example, according to an analysis from the John Locke Foundation, 9 of North Carolina's 10 most populous counties collected nearly $3 billion with a B and property taxes over the past decade that were not justified by growth or inflation.
Wow.
Wow. So again, folks, when we talk about this, it's not eliminating services. Don't be afraid. It is about holding our leaders responsible. It's just like you and I, right? It's when I do my budget, you have to look at needs versus wants, right? So I may want to go to Europe every year, but my budget says no. I have my needs. So, if they would just use some common sense that all of us do when it comes to budgets, I think we'd, go a lot further.
Well, absolutely. We're chatting with Mary Insprucker, who's running for North Carolina House District 36, which is Cary, Fuquay, Apex, and Holly Springs, piece of Holly Springs as well. And the website is maryforcarolina.com, and we're talking about parts of her platform today. And taxes is what we've been talking about that so far in this part of the show. Let's talk a little bit about public safety. And, we obviously taxes also fund public safety, right? And obviously you already made your point clear that you support our first responders, law enforcement, firemen, all that kind of stuff, teachers, and all that. But let's talk a little bit about public safety and what concerns people have. I know that if I'm watching the news, I see stuff happening in Raleigh on a regular basis. I see, crime, violent crime, property crimes. I see that stuff happening in various cities in Wake County. So talk a little bit about, your approach to that, thoughts around that, public safety.
So again, big supporter of, our police department, all our first responders, everything. Public safety is so important, and we have to have a robust police force, and we need to give them the resources and the cooperation they need to keep us safe, period. So what are we doing? There's a bill right now, Senate 429, the Public Safety Act. A lot of you might have already heard about this. It increases penalties for crimes. It permits consecutive sentences for multiple convictions. I like this one, and this is going to talk about this maybe later in the program about school safety. Child protection elevates penalties for soliciting a minor via computer or an electronic device.
These are predators, sexual predators. In theory, is what this is after as well.
Which is it's just unforgivable. You know, it's just when it comes to kids, I get a little emotional.
That's fine.
Don't hunt them.
Yeah, you and a lot of other people as well. We all get emotional about it. Go ahead.
And then, you know, we have Bill 307. Everybody's heard about this. Pretrial release restrictions, mental health evaluations. And what I really liked about that bill, too, besides all the different, you know, penalties and policies around it, was it also included almost $10 million in a pilot program to address mental health issues in the criminal justice system. So there's definitely a need for that, and I'm glad to see we're putting monies to address that as well. And then, you know, big on getting rid of the drugs, high penalties for fentanyl, and right on down.
No, that's great. Yeah, I know that there's a lot of concern about lack of funding for mental health services. It's been a cry in the state for a long time. And we need more funding for that in the right places, right? And I'm glad to hear that there's some money going that way to deal with mental health issues. And, you know, there's people out there committing crimes that could be associated with mental health issues. I'm not advocating one way or the other more, but it's there. And how do we address it if we don't have some resources or some kind of infrastructure or some kind of services or some kind of gateway to kind of deal with those people that need to be committed or need medication or need counseling and the like. And that's the compassionate part, right? You know, that, trying to take care of people who really need it and put the ones who are need to be in jail, you know, in jail. I mean, that's basically, there's no other way to say it.
Right.
I mean, you know, that's the way, that's just the way it is. So, and obviously, going from public safety into schools, right?
Yes.
And kind of in that continual conversation, right? That thread. Talk to us a little bit about, you know, your thoughts on schools and protecting our kids, which, you know, my kids are already older, so, you know, I don't have any school-age children, but, you know, one of the biggest concerns for every parent is that my kid got on the bus, he gets to school, he comes home. Apart from the homework and all grades and all that, I want safety. I want my kid to be fine.
Right.
You know, so talk to us a little bit about school safety and your role as a legislator and your thoughts around that.
Well, you know, and this is exactly the point. I have parents coming to me telling me they're afraid to send their children to school. This is the United States of America, and this is not acceptable. You cannot be afraid to send your child in for his or her education. So, and, you know, so I am all about breaching tools, resource officers, shields, better protocols, cameras, better codes, anything we can do to help with that, because here's a stat for you. Assault on personnel at school up 45% since last year. That is disturbing. And, you know, I am a former teacher, and I know, and this is going to play into why we're losing a lot of teachers. You're in a constant state of teach or threat. And there were so many times I couldn't finish my lesson plans because I was breaking up a fight or something else was going on, and I had to deal with the threat instead of the teach. And, you know, and we had 9,000 teachers leave in 24-25.
Wow.
When we need like a whole lot more, they're leaving. And and it does involve pay, of course. But pay isn't the only thing, because there's things like that. But we do want to pay our teachers well. Education is part of the American dream, and we need to pay them well, and we need to give them the tools they need, assistance, better ratios, student-teacher ratios, things like that. And if I could, I'm going to jump from that into scholarships, because, again, this is what makes it happen for a lot of people. You know, Gil, I talk to so many people, and I go door knocking, and here's one more sad story. I had a father tell me their 9-year-old daughter, 9 years old, was cutting herself because of a toxic environment in her academic life. Yes. So I am big on opportunity scholarships because it allows everybody a chance to address that. So what are we talking about? Well, 45% of public schools are not meeting grade level proficiency. So we have to fix that. We have to fix that. But along with fixing that, we need to offer parents' choice because it is not political leaders leaving classrooms. It is the parents leaving classrooms because their 9-year-old daughter is cutting herself. Or, and I'll read a survey to you, the other reason people are leaving, this is according to a Carolina Journal poll, 53% of the people surveyed said they leave because of quality. 46% say if they had the money, they would go to some other alternative than public school. And 2/3 support school choice. So I think those are amazing statistics. And a lot of people, again, will come at me because it's like, well, that's just for the rich. Well, it is not. It is for everybody, whether you're Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated, public school, charter school, private school. You are open to those scholarships. And the important thing to know for people that might still struggle with it is the fact that they're on a tier system, right? It's a tier program. So people, based on income, right? But anybody can get it, even if your income is high, you might only get $1, but you can get something. So it starts at the lower level of income, and they get more than the upper level. So, you know, it's just two things about it. I can't imagine an elected official trying to trap parents to keep their teacher in underperforming schools. And also, I trust parents to know what's best for their children. That's not my call. That's their call.
No, perfect. Thank you for sharing that, Mary. We're chatting with Mary Insprucker, running for NC House District 36. And her website is maryforcarolina.com. We're going to a commercial break, and we'll be back in a minute or two after some music and a commercial. Quédate con nosotros.
La voz de los hispanos en Carolina del Norte quiere asegurarle que esté al tanto de los programas que le beneficiarán a usted y a su familia. Servimos a familias y a empresas en 4 áreas. 1. Creación, financiamiento y crecimiento de pequeñas empresas. 2. Becas para enviar a sus hijos a escuelas privadas y religiosas. 3. Programas de salud y bienestar para mejorar su salud y obtener seguro médico. 4. Educación cívica, políticas públicas y cómo las leyes y regulaciones afectan su vida diaria. Nos aseguramos de que nuestras voces se escuchen en todos los niveles de gobierno. ¿Necesita hablar con nosotros o colaborar con nosotros? Contáctenos al 919-931-4597 o por correo electrónico connect@hispanosdelsur.com o envíe un mensaje en redes sociales. Hispanos del Sur, la voz de la comunidad hispana.
La Celestial 106.5 está cada vez más comprometida contigo. Escucha cada jueves Café con Hispanos con el pastor Gilbert Pagan. A las 4 de la tarde, disfruta de un contenido de actualidad y relación directa con nuestra comunidad, un programa de fe, valores familiares, negocios, gobierno y más. Recuerda que cada jueves tienes una cita con la Celestial a las 4 de la tarde. Café con Hispanos con el pastor Gilbert Pagan.
¿Qué sería de mí si no me hubieras alcanzado? ¿Dónde estaría hoy si no me hubieras perdonado? Tendría un vacío en mi corazón, vagaría sin rumbo, sin dirección. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor, ¿qué sería de mí si no me hubieras alcanzado? ¿Dónde estaría hoy si no me hubieras?
We're back with Mary Insprucker, who's running for North Carolina House District 36. Her website is maryforcarolina.com, and we're chatting with her here in the studios in Raleigh about her run for office, and we're talking about a whole bunch of issues, and we've covered affordability, we've covered some tax issues, we talked about public safety, also school safety, and kind of migrated into opportunity scholarships and education as well. We talked a little bit about that, and we want to talk a little bit about today, again, at this second part of the show, about housing and the housing affordability issue, lack of housing for people. Young people can't buy homes, you know, which is probably good for people who own homes already, like me and you. You know, our values have gone up, I'm sure, because, you know, but we've been here for a while. But talk a little bit about, you know, housing and what's happening here in the state, and maybe it'll narrow it down to Wake County if that works. But go ahead.
Sure. Well, it is a major issue, and part of it goes to stock. There's just not enough housing stock out there. And then again, affordability. So, but you know, there's a couple things you can do with housing and bringing costs down. For example, if we streamline permitting and reduce impact fees, there's those fees again, on all the red tape. I've had builders say it would take $30,000 to $50,000 off the price of a house.
Really, that much?
Really, that much.
Wow.
I was shocked myself.
Wow.
And then we want to also talk about expediting those permits, whatever they may be, and other things that they need to get the job done. Because realize, well, I'll talk to you that in a minute. But you know, I was listening to someone that said they needed a permit. It was taking forever to get it. This is a developer. And so he called to follow up, and they said, well, if you give us, you know, if you pay $100 fee, we can have it to you. We'll expedite it. We'll have it quick. And the thought is, if you can get it out fast for $100, why don't you just get it out fast, right? Okay, so efficiency's got to go in here.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And micromanaging, again, regulations. We got to address middle market. We got to address, you know, the accessory dwelling units, the mother-in-law units. People are into these small houses now, and they're, you know,
tiny homes,
right? Tiny homes. I remember when those first came out so long ago. But anyway, so you know. Don't micromanage regulations, remove zoning barriers. That will be helpful. PPP, public-private partnerships. Those are very important. You know, it can't always be laid on government and can't always be laid at the feet of the taxpayers. So I remember when I was a consultant to the town of Cary, I put together a philanthropic program towards affordable housing, wherein again, the cost of affordable housing wouldn't be at the feet of the taxpayer. We would look for these private-public partnerships, corporations, nonprofits coming together to do something with that. Never came to fruition in Cary, but we have to look for things like that. Now,
be creative, sounds like. Be creative in working together with private industry and the like.
Exactly. So I applaud things like HB 762. This calls for insurance lenders to operate fairly and transparently.
That's House Bill 762.
762.
Okay,
And then rent-to-own programs, assumable mortgages, first-time home buyer incentives, and this is one. This is one that changed with the regulations kind of thing. Used to, if in some places, not everywhere, but in some cities, if a developer brought in a proposal to town council and they rejected it, they would have to wait a year before they could refile that development plan.
Okay.
So what's that doing to the builder? He's paying on a mortgage on the land that he has to build for a year, and he's not seeing any kind of profit. So what does that do to housing? Puts the price up of housing because he's got to recoup those losses. It's just like a spider web kind of thing that goes on. Something new, Gil? House Bill 1072, $50 million low-interest loan program. And this is for places, this is for some nonprofits like Habitat for Humanity, for example. So this isn't just, open to developers or things like this. It has to be a nonprofit. And it's through the Housing Finance Agency. But this will help, and I love this because it's perpetual, goes in perpetuity. But so the Housing Finance Agency loans the money to Habitat. They use whatever that money is. Now, they can't use it to build. It's for like land, permitting, other fees associated with building. Then, once they pay that loan, it goes right back into this fund for someone else to borrow it again.
Okay, so it's like a revolving loan fund. It goes back into the pool, and it goes back around to other people to apply and get the money back in, and kind of keeps it. So it's funded there in perpetuity, as you said, kind of going around to help other people.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. I didn't know about that. That's $15 million. Is that?
50.
50. Oh wow. Okay, gotcha. No, that's great. So those are ways that we can help to deal with the housing affordability issue, right? In most of the major issues in North Carolina with housing affordability are in the fast-growing urban areas, right? Which is the Wake counties, the Mecklenburgs, the Forsyth counties, the Guilfords, where they're major urban centers where people kind of land versus rural kind of, North Carolina, where the houses are somewhat still. They're growing. They're getting expensive out there too, but not like Wake County and as an example, where the homes are really expensive and they've appreciated a lot because of a lack of housing stock, which raises the competition for the homes, therefore raises the prices and prices people out of the market. So that's good. That those programs sound wonderful. You have a thought around budgeting, right? Around budgets and managing budgets and things of that nature. And talk to us a little bit about the concept of, they do this in other states, you said, zero-based budgeting. Explain what that means to people.
Okay. So in simple terms, it's exactly what it says. You start at zero when you build your budget. The norm is a city, a county will take their last budget and go line by line and then kind of just fill in the blanks. So, okay, we raised this program by 15% last year. We should maybe do 17 or 20% this year. It's like, it's not analyzed. It's not under a microscope. So what zero-based budgeting is you start fresh. You start from scratch. And every department, et cetera, brings in their things, and line by line they go through it, not to look for reductions and things like that, but really start from zero. So just because you always had X program, does that mean you should still have it? How many people are using it? Has it been productive? Should we keep it or should we get rid of it? And, and just because maybe it cost us 5% more every year doesn't necessarily mean it's cumulative. We're just automatically going to raise it 5% because that's what we did last year and that's what we figured.
Sounds like the easy way out, really.
Exactly.
Right.
And this is a difficult process. It takes a lot of work, and that's maybe why a lot of people avoid it. But it's so needed because, and other states do this, so it's not my brainchild for sure. But in Texas, for example, it helped using this zero-based budgeting. Texas helped close a $10 billion, again with the B, budget gap. And so it's worth a little, elbow grease, I think. Build from the ground up. Don't use old baseline numbers. And again, as we talked earlier, what's your wants? What's your needs? Program oversight. You need justification and measurable outcomes.
Yeah, and breaking this down real simply as a business owner myself, for people, break it down like a 2-year-old. So you look at your department in government, and you have 10 employees in that department. So now you start with the salaries and benefits for those 10. So there's your 10. Mm-hmm. You got those bodies, and then those 10 all have computers. You got that information. We have software that we run. We got that information. We have things that we do in the field as part of our daily work. We have that information. So now you're saying, okay, this is where I am from running my department, right, in my, to do my work for the city, for the people, we the people, and that comes to $1.2 million, right, versus the $2 million that you want to give me. I really only need 1.2, because that's really starting from zero, looking at all my costs to run my department for the people, for the city and for government. And then you build that way every year. So next year you may say, you know what, we don't need 10 people, we really just need 8. So now next year you're decreasing the budget by $200,000, right? Now you're at $1 million because you really don't need that. So that's starting it from scratch, zero, and build every single year versus doing the easy route, add 5%. And then where did that money come from, Mary? That comes from us. Because they ask for more taxes, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
It always comes from us, Gil.
Right. It's our money. Right, it's our money,
Yeah,
right? So,
right,
so that's kind of the baseline. The zero-based budgeting. Start from scratch, build it every single year or every 2 years, whenever the budget is done, wherever you are and the like. So,
well, everybody knows things are better from scratch. When you're cooking, it's better to do it from scratch.
That's right.
Not out of a can.
Home-based cooking is better than fast food, right? Just make it at the home, right? Start with a new baseline. Okay, so share with us the parting words, and for the people, as we wrap up this segment.
Okay. Well, first, thank you, Gil. I appreciate being here. You've been a pleasure. And thanks to all of you who have been listening, either one way or another. There's so many ways you can. This is great. This is a great setup. I like this. But anyway, I do want to say a few final words, one of which is, I know a lot of us have been thinking about the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. We wouldn't be here without it, right? So every once in a while I stop and I think about how optimistic and excited our forefathers must have been when they signed that document. But then there was that pause. There was that, this is great, but how are we going to do it? Well, I think likewise about the General Assembly. I'm very excited and I'm very optimistic about what we can do in the coming years. But then there's the pause. There, it sounds pretty, but how are we going to do it? Well, we're going to do it by coming together and putting the puzzle pieces together, starting with affordable living. Just because our evaluations go up 50% does not mean our taxes should. So we need a cap. When we close our eyes at night, we want to know we're safe. So we need a robust police force and give them the resources they need. Safety goes into school. We've talked about it a lot. But we want to make sure our kids are safe when they're in that academic environment. They're there to learn. They're not there to get hurt. And speaking of education, part of the American dream, because when you get a good education, you can get the job, you can get the house, you can start the family. But to do that, we need to pay our teachers well, and we need to offer opportunity scholarships so every child can survive and thrive in the academic environment they are in. So yeah, it's a lot. I'm going to be transparent. But together, we can do it. Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I think we can, and together I know we can. So let's not save the best for last. Let's capture it now.
Awesome. Thank you for being with us today and sharing your platform with the audience. We were talking to Mary Insprucker, candidate for North Carolina House District 36. Her website is maryforcarolina.com. In the show notes, when we upload the video, we will include all her information, her website, and the like, so that you can go there and read about her more, and you can donate if you feel that you want to do that. But thank you for being with us. It was a joy to chat with you and kind of go through your platform and share with the audience why you're running and all the things that you're looking to do once you get elected. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Vagaría sin rumbo, sin dirección. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor. Sería como un pájaro herido que se muere del suelo. Sería como un ciervo que brama por agua en un desierto. Si no fuera por tu gracia y por tu amor.
Gracias por sintonizar Café con Hispanos, la voz de nuestra gente hispana en Carolina del Norte. Si desea contactar a nuestro conductor Gilbert Pagán, llame hoy al 919-931-4597, 919-931-4597. Síganos en nuestras redes sociales como Hispanos del Sur. Puede enviarnos un correo electrónico a connect@hispanosdelsur.com. Hasta pronto.
De un rugiente mar.